spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all lean in. Breaking down fights, Costa, daddy supreme. On just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged. From the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick. Hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls. Getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jazz to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight Night Kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday night. I just poured myself a Paloma, having the first sip of it. Right now, it's time for Just a Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. We are going to talk about this UFC 318 card that is headlined by Dustin the Diamond Poirier going up against Max Holloway for the BMF title. Who's going to be putting the strap on Dustin the Diamond Poirier should he get that win? That's right, Weezy. Weezy. No, not this Weezy, unfortunately. For some reason, he's choosing some bum rapper that I've never heard of. And let me all tell you bitches something, all right? Straight from the horse's mouth. You're going to hear it from me. People have been calling me Weezy since that dude was still shitting in his diaper, in his gold-plated diaper, you know? So let me tell you something. And I'm not the original Weezy. The original Weezy is George Jefferson's wife on the show The Jeffersons. I forget what her actual name is, but you know, I mean, it's Louise Weezy. That's me. I'm here to break down these fights for you guys. It's a fun card. There's going to be 14 fights on this card. Really fun undercard. Really compelling matchups on it. The main card is interesting. It's not like a total banger from like a pay-per-view perspective, but it's really good in terms of the name value that it has all the way up and down this card. And I think there's going to be a lot of exciting fights. I'm personally predicting a lot of finishes. I think that this is going to be a fun card to watch, not just from a fan perspective, but there's a lot of spots sticking out as a gambler as well. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you, my audience. And I'd like to thank you. 5,000 subscribers. Did we get there today? Is it official? We got 5,000 subscribers today. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's wild to think that while I was struggling, you know, with 100 and 200 subscribers, wondering if I was ever going to get to 1,000, that we got to this point. 5,000 subscribers is crazy, and I'm hoping to grow it a lot more from there. I'm hoping to grow my Odd Shopper community a lot from there. You see it down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, oddshopper.com. That's where you find my probability stats and content package for $25 a month. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And I think there's still some kind of 3 free day trial in there that you can sign up for 3 days and check out my content. I tried to cancel it, but it won't die. And I see people are still signing up using that trial, so I have no idea how to access it. I tried to kill it, but people are still signing up with it. And I was happy with how many people signed up for it when I gave it out a couple of weeks ago. A lot of people did sign up and try it out. And I'm hoping that some of you guys hope to re-up it a little bit later on after you saw how much content comes with my package. But stats, fight write-ups, access to the Discord, access to all the tracked bets, access to over 4 hours of subscriber-only content. And you guys are getting actually a little bit of a treat today because I did my Balls Deep Breakdown show. I did my probability show. But because I had to break balls deep breakdowns into 2 shows, I did the undercard first and then I did the main card. I actually forgot to give out the ass shaving of the week and the dog pick of the week this week. So you guys are going to be hearing about it first after I finish the live, the full card breakdown here for you guys. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick full card breakdown for you guys. I'm going to give you all my picks and how I think that they're going to win. I'm going to give you my dog pick of the week. I'm going to give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and win violently? And then I'm going to give you guys a Greasy 4-leg parlay that's got a lot of meat on the bone this week. I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit right now, and I'm putting a little bit more meat on this bone. If this thing cashes, we're going to make a little bit more money than we normally do when it cashes. So I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you guys tonight. And if you want to support my channel, hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment on this video. And if you want to support my work and get access to all my phenomenal stuff in terms of charts, betting models, matchup stats, individual fighter stats, all the prize picks and underdog and DraftKings and FanDuel numbers for every fighter on the card. All that stuff is available at the link in the description of the video. $25 a month, and it's going to give you access to a phenomenal amount of information that is going to help you make better long-term decisions as an MMA gambler. But let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys here, and let's see if it gets up there. There we go. So I've got all my picks here. Whew. Let's get them off the screen. Anyway, we're going to start with the first fight of the night, and it is going to be Crispy Carly Judice versus Nicole Caliari. I've got Judice winning this one, and I've got her winning it late by KO. I think it's going to be a really fun fight, and I actually think that the money line is kind of wide here. Carly's a really good prospect, a solid kickboxer. She throws a ton of volume. If you look at my stats package here and we go to the first fight of the night, you're going to see when you look at the advanced stats, you can see like Nicola Caliari throws a little bit more volume in the offensive distance striking stats that are available right here. She throws 15.8 distance strike attempts per minute, which is 1.9 more than the divisional average of 13.9. But you see Carly over here, over a 13-minute sample size, is attempting 26 distance strike attempts per minute. So Carly throws a lot of volume at you when you are fighting her. She stays in your face. She's extremely durable. I don't think anybody's going to be able to knock her out because some of the clean shots that Gabriela Fernandez was hitting her with, if those aren't knocking you out, I don't think that anything that Caliari has is going to knock you out. Carly should be throwing more. I think that she's going to have the better long-range weapons. I think she has better kicks. And I think she's got more power on the feet as well. All 4 of her professional wins come by way of knockout. Both of these ladies have 100% finish rates as professionals, but Carly Judice has never been finished, and Nicole Caliari, I believe, has only been finished once. So I do think that Carly can really put a pace on Nicole, and Nicole does slow down late in fights. So I'm thinking it's either going to be a decision or a third-round knockout for Carly, but I'm picking Carly, the hometown gal. She is from Louisiana. They're fighting in New Orleans this weekend, and it's going to be Carly Judice by third-round knockout is the pick for that fight. Next fight, we got Bruno Ferreira, massive minus 570 favorite going up against Jackson McVey at plus 420. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at minus 1400 for this fight. I'm going with the upset here, you guys. Ferreira's a very good fighter. He's really undersized for the division, but he's got a ton of power. He's got 100% finish rate as a pro, and he's got a pretty good Brazilian jiu-jitsu game, and he's also good at judo. So he can get throws when you're in the clinch against him, sweeps, reaps, throws, that kind of stuff. He's good there. He's a black belt. Jackson McVey, Brazilian jiu-jitsu player, over 10 years of experience with BJJ, and he's only had 6 professional fights against a pretty low level of competition, but he's running through these dudes and looking extremely dangerous while doing it. Jackson's very tall and long for the division. He's got decent striking, stays long when he strikes, straight punches, good long kicks. He's vicious in the clinch. And once he gets into the clinch, and starts looking for that front choke series, you better be careful because he's got super long limbs, a very opportunistic submission game. And I just think that McVey reminds me a lot of Nursultan Ruziboyev. And Ruziboyev obviously has a ton more experience than Jackson McVey, but they have similar body types. They both have power on the feet, and they're both really dangerous with their Brazilian jiu-jitsu from any position, really. But I think Jackson has got a pretty high ceiling here. He's very young. He's finishing fights. He's going to have to learn how to maybe pace himself at this level, win minutes, bank rounds. We haven't seen him really do that yet. But the good news is that Ferreira he's never seen the scorecards as a professional. So even though Ferreira has a lot more experience and he's went deeper in fights than Jackson McVey has, it's not like if these guys have a crazy first round that Ferreira's going to have a ton left in the tank either. So I'm picking the big upset here. I've got a half unit bet on Jackson McVey's money line at plus 500, and I've got a half unit bet on Jackson McVey's first round prop at plus 1,000. I'm looking to win big if Jackson McVey can find a finish here in the first round. Jackson's clinch game's nasty. His submission game is nasty, and he's going to be at a massive size advantage in this fight. So I think that there are some things that he can do in order to make life really rough on Bruno Ferreira. And, we just saw McVey just absolutely run through a dude with the same body type here as Bruno Ferreira against Mateo Top Ape Garner. Really kind of just, you would think that a short, like powerful football player like Garner would be able to kind of muscle Jackson McVey around. It was the other way around, and he ran through him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what McVey has at this level. I've got a total of 1 unit of bets on him, super high upside, and I'm flat out picking him to win this fight. So I think it's going to be a fun one. Next fight, Lukas Brzeski, plus 180 underdog going up against Ryan Superman Spann at minus 210. The fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 800 for this fight. I'm picking Spann by first round submission with very little confidence. Ryan looked awful at heavyweight, you guys. And here's what I told my people on Balls Deep Breakdowns when I broke down this fight. At least when Ryan Spann was at 205 pounds, you knew that he had to cut weight in order to even show up to the fight. And when you're 6'5" with the massive reach and the frame and as much muscle as Spann has on him, that was the work that Spann was putting into MMA, because the guy really doesn't train, right? So the training for Spann was making weight. And we saw it last time out. He didn't have to do that anymore. And he came out and he looked fat. He looked slow. And after round one was over, I didn't see him landing almost anything. And it just looks like the danger factor is gone. And if Ryan doesn't have to cut weight anymore, what I'm worried about is whether he's putting any work at all into his training camp, because he can eat whatever he wants now. He doesn't have to run or get up and wake up and do the road work in order to make 206 pounds anymore. So what is the cardio going to look like? My worry is that Spann is completely first round or bust. And if this fight does go past round one, that Lukas Brzeski has got the better boxing, in my opinion. He throws more volume, and he's a lot more defensively responsible. I mean, we've seen Ryan Spann go out there and lose rounds 2 and 3 to guys like Anthony Smith, Sam Alvey. This guy is, once you get past the point where he's dangerous, if you make it past that point, Ryan slows down a lot. And up at heavyweight, my concern is that he's going to slow down even more. So Brzeski's just not great, though, so it's really hard to back a guy that's 1-5 thus far in the UFC. And in each of his last 3 losses, he's been knocked out. So very hard to back Brzeski here. I mean, I think if I were to back Brzeski, if he wasn't put on death's doorstep and there's like 15 seconds left in round one, I think I would pull the trigger right there and just hope that Spann slows down in rounds 2 or 3, because if he does that, we've seen Brzeski go out there and win minutes with his boxing because he's doing more than his opponents, throwing more, landing more, and he's fairly defensively responsible. He keeps his hands high. He does move laterally a little bit, for a heavyweight. I'm saying, like, obviously he's not he doesn't have slick footwork or great speed or anything, but in relation to a lot of other heavyweights, he puts out a decent amount of volume and he moves a decent amount. So I could see him coming back and winning this fight if fat Spann shows up, if uninterested Spann shows up. So I think Spann is going to probably land something big and maybe knock down Brzeski and then jump on a choke like he always does. That's the pick for the fight. But Brzeski by decision at plus 1,100, I feel like that's worth putting a quarter unit on because it's a high upside play. And if Ryan Spann doesn't get him out of there early, I think that Brzeski will be live. Next fight, Jimmy the Brute Crute at minus 300. Marcin Prachnio at plus 250. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting around minus 190. I'm going with Crute here. Round 1 or 2 submission, I think, is how this one ends. Prachnio is going to be a little bit fresher in round 1, so I think maybe it'll take until round 2 for Crute to find that finish. But I also think if he does find the finish, you'll notice that I think 3 of his 4 wins that were finishes at the UFC level all came in round 1. So easier to get a submission when both fighters are dry, easier to get a knockout when you're fresh. And Marcin Prachnio has been knocked out in the first round on 3 different occasions at the UFC level. So I think Crute inside the distance. I think you can find a knockout on the feet because Prachnio is chinny. And I think he can absolutely take down Prachnio and finish him with either ground and pound or a submission. If Crute fucks this one up, you guys, if he fucks this one up, it's over for him because you can't lose to this guy. And Crute's got to fucking wrestle. Because if he just stands out there with Prachnio, he's going to give Prachnio a chance. So he's got to fight smart. He's got to wrestle offensively. He's got to make this dude work. He's got to come in with really good cardio so that he can push the kind of pace that's going to break Prachnio and make him quit. And I think he's got that in him. And we've seen Prachnio's ground game is just awful. If you can get this guy down and get on top of him, he's got nothing off of his back. He doesn't have much of a get-up game. And, I mean, like we saw him get submitted with an arm triangle from the wrong side against Bukauskas, who's not known to be some phenomenal grappler. So I think it's going to be Crute by submission, and I think it happens in round 1 or 2. The next fight that we're going to talk about, Adam Fugitt at plus 425 versus Islam Dulatov at minus 600. Fight doesn't go to decision. Juice to the tits here at minus 700 for this fight. I'm going with Dulatov, and I'm picking him to win it by submission in round 1. I think he's going to land a big shot and then jump on a choke. It's something you see him do all the time. Fugitt, getting old now, 37 years of age. I think he's on about a 1-year layoff. So even though he's coming off of a win over Josh Quinlan, it's been a while. He's getting towards the end of his career at this weight class. You know, if you're 37 years old, you're getting up there. While Dulatov is a young prospect, but he's finishing all of his fights early. So there's a lot of unanswered questions about Islam Dulatov. How is he going to look in a round 2 at this level against somebody with a pulse? How is he going to look in round 3? You know, is he a round 1 buster guy right now? Because like that's something that we have to worry about. But he is very explosive, and he's got great finishing instincts. If he lands on you and it looks like it hurt you, he's going to swarm and he's going to put together 15 and 20 punch combinations until he drops you. And then once he drops you, he's either going to try to finish you with ground and pound or he's going to jump on a submission. And he does love going for his chokes when he has people hurt. So when these props opened, they opened Dulatov's KO at minus 170 and his submission at plus 500. And I had just gotten done watching his tape and watching him jump on submission after submission after submission when he had someone hurt. He's got 4 wins by submission and 7 by knockout. And Fugitt has been finished by submission once, knockout twice. So obviously Dulatov round 1 is probably the most likely outcome for this fight. But he's taken a step up a little bit in competition here. It's just the question is, you know, at 37 years of age on a 1-year plus layoff, are we going to get the best version of Adam Fugitt? And even if we do, where is that level? Because the guys that he's beaten, Kinoshita is a fraud. Quinlan is, I think he's been cut from the organization. And I think the reason he got in is because he was juicing. But then he loses to guys like Mallet, like Michael Morales. When you add up their records, it's something like 11 wins and 1 loss. So he's losing to really good guys. He's beating bottom of the barrel guys. And then there's all these fighters in between those level of guys that we don't know how Fugitt looks against that level of competition. So it's kind of hard to know where he's at, and the long layoff makes it a little bit worse. So got to pick Dulatov here and think that he probably does find something here in the first round. But it took Mallet till the second round to finish him, and it took Michael Morales till the third round to finish him. So if Fugitt can weather that early storm against a guy who is known to be a front-loaded fighter, things could get very interesting in the second and third rounds, much like what I think could happen in the Spann fight. If what's his name gets past round number one, can Brzeski like win rounds 2 and 3 against a fat Spann who's going to slow down? So very interesting fight there. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Islam make his debut. He's a very exciting fighter, and he fights like he's got a plane to catch. So Dulatov submission round 1 is the pick there. Next fight, another phenomenally talented prospect in Ateba Gautier. He's a minus 550 favorite going up against Robert Valentin at plus 400. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits again at minus 800. I'm picking another big upset here. I'm going with Valentin by submission in round 2. Gautier's got a ton to prove, just a ton to prove. Very, very, very low-level opponents. As a matter of fact, I mean, like fighting guys like Jose Medina and Yura Naito, those guys aren't even DWCS quality. I mean, like Molina didn't even win on Dana White's Contender Series, and neither did Naito, obviously. But I just think that from the limited amount of tape that we've seen on Gautier, he's a talent. He's a raw athlete. We see guys like this in the NFL all the time where you're like, you see a couple highlights of them and you're like, wow, look at that fucking highlight. But the thing is that there's all these other plays in the game where you don't see them missing blocks, where you don't see them dropping the ball, where you don't see them fucking committing penalties and procedure penalties and dumbass shit. And I feel like Gautier at only 23 years of age with a very limited amount of MMA experience is kind of just riding that athleticism, riding that natural power and that raw hardware and athleticism that he has. And it's going to work against tomato cans like the Bolivian punching bag, Jose Medina, the Japanese punching bag, Yura Naito, UG, Joe Louis, whatever the hell his name is. Like these weird, he just doesn't have a high level of competition. So what happens if Gautier doesn't go out there and find that early finish? What happens if Rob does find a judo throw and gets to consolidates top position in half guard or in side control and starts looking for submissions against this guy? Is he going to have the kind of ground game to not only survive, but be able to go out there and put some offense out there in round 2? Because the conditioning has not looked good when he's been extended. So Gautier is going to be extremely dangerous in round 1 and probably even early in round 2. But Robert Valentin has got 15 professional fights. He's fought the much better brand of competition. He also has scary power on the feet. Not Ateba Gautier scary, but scary power. Big strength to schedule advantage on the Valentin side. And we've seen him go out there and dominate guys in grappling exchanges that weren't known for their grappling. And Gautier is one of those guys. So I worry about what happens if Gautier finds some adversity in this fight. And if he does, I think Valentin's going to be able to find a win here, maybe even find a finish. I like Valentin to find a submission after Gautier slows down. And I'm looking for it to happen in round number 2. I've got a 1-unit bet on Robert Valentin's money line at plus 410. Next fight, Francisco Prado going up against Nikolai Veretennikov. We got Prado as around a minus 145 favorite. Veretennikov plus 125 as an underdog. I'm not a fan of Francisco Prado. He's at the completely wrong weight class. He's a very small 155er, and for some reason he's moved up to 170. He throws all his punches with a big loop, so you could see everything coming. He's slow. And he's predictable. He just kind of walks forward throwing wide hooks, and everything is very, very predictable. That's why he doesn't connect very often. And because he's so undersized for the division, he doesn't really have the option to kind of like sit back, manage range, use long range weapons, because he's going to get picked apart especially at 175 pounds, by the much taller and longer fighters. And here we got Nikolai Veretennikov, 3 inches taller, 3-inch reach advantage, and he's a really slick striker. I mean, if you come in swinging at this guy, wide hooks, he's going to bring something right down Main Street, right at your chin, and he's going to land. This guy waits to counter quite a bit. He's very low volume, and I think that Prado is going to give him what he wants. I think Veretennikov is going to be landing the bigger shots here, and if he's defensively responsible on the feet, I think he's going to be able to avoid those wide looping, predictable hooks of Prado, because he doesn't bring really any other weapons except for those. So I think Veretenikov's superior technical striking, his 3 inches of height, his 3 inches of reach, his strength of schedule advantage that he has, along with the fact that he can wrestle and win some minutes. You'll see that on the regional scene, him going to his wrestling a lot. He got dominated by Vanderford the last fight, but Vanderford's like a middleweight, and that was up at 175. Prado's a lightweight who's got a 9% takedown accuracy, as a guy who's fighting mostly at lightweight. So, I think Veretennikov is going to get the job done here. I like the decision for Veretennikov because Prado is proven against some pretty big hitters like Zellhuber, Jake Matthews, Jamie Malarkey, that he's very durable. He's very difficult to knock out, and he's got a lot of heart, and he will keep pushing even when he's hurt. So I think Veretennikov decision is how I think he gets it done. Next one, we got Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. Vettori plus 175, Allen minus 205. Fight doesn't go to decision here. A big plus money number at plus 210. And something that I saw in my betting model, which interested me for this fight, was a little bit of violence. We've never seen Marvin Vettori finished. And I think the guy's probably going to be impossible to knock out, but he could be submitted. And Brendan Allen's got a very good submission game. And Marvin Vettori, even though he doesn't have any knockouts at the UFC level, we've seen him land big shots and have guys being very close to being finished. And we've seen, Brendan Allen knocked out by a couple of different guys, got knocked out by Strickland, got knocked out by Chris Curtis. So I think one of the, what I would call a counterintuitive or, like a contrarian play would be the unders. And what my model likes is an under 1.5 here at plus 460. 7 of 14 Brendan Allen fights that have been scheduled for 3 rounds finished under 1.5 rounds. For Vettori, it's 2 of 10, and both of his that finished inside the distance also finished under 1.5 rounds. So my model is seeing a lot of value in this in a 24-fight sample size. And like I say, if Brendan Allen chooses to wrestle here and take advantage of the grappling advantage that he has in this fight, you could see him getting a submission. And I could see Vettori actually knocking out Brendan Allen because we've seen Brendan Allen hurt before. So I like a little bit of violence here on either side. And they're rewarding you for taking that chance. But because Marvin Vettori has historically been such a durable guy, and because he's historically had some pretty good takedown defense and been a difficult guy to dominate on the mat, I think Brendan Allen's most likely path to victory here is going to be by decision. And let's see, where was I going with that? The decision prop here at plus 105 looks to be extremely overpriced, though. And you see that Brendan Allen has 6 wins by submission here, and we haven't really seen Vettori's ground game get tested because he's normally fighting strikers. So I think a cheeky bet could be Brendan Allen by submission. I'm picking him to win this fight by decision. And then even a Vettori KO at plus 1,300. I mean, we've seen Brendan Allen knocked out twice, and Vettori hits hard. But the last point that I wanted to bring up and why I'm picking Brendan Allen here is Marvin took off 2 years between, or I think a year and a half, almost maybe 2 years between his last fights. And he came back looking washed at 31 years old. So he's still very young. Maybe it was a one-off performance, but God, it didn't look good. I mean, he sat there in front of Roman, somebody that he had even fought before, and he just didn't do anything. He didn't look like he was in the fight. It really looked like the time away, the inactivity, the ring rust, if you will, that it really bothered him. So, I think that to pick him to win this fight against Brendan Allen is it's a stretch, because he's going to have to perform so much better than he did in his last fight just to even give himself a chance. Because if that version of Marvin Vettori shows up, he's got almost no chance to beat Brendan Allen. Because a lot of people don't even understand. Dude, Brendan Allen's still a fucking kid. This guy is 29 years old. He's been in the UFC for 16 fights, and he's got 31 professional fights. So Brendan Allen has been around the fucking block. 12 wins before the age of 30 in the UFC. So he's really putting up some numbers. He's still a very young fighter, and he's the younger fighter in this matchup as well. So in terms of recent performances, career trajectory, momentum, grappling upside, and a little bit of youth, I like Brendan Allen to win this fight. Next fight is going to be Kyler Phillips going up against Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira. We got Kyler Phillips plus 128, Lockdog minus 148. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 130. Going with the Matrix by KO here. He was minus 600 versus Rob Font. Dropped the ball there after decisively winning the first round, but he slowed down. And Font's constant pressure and his ability to be able to stuff takedowns in the second half of the fight, allowed him to bank rounds 2 and 3 and get that win. But, Kyler Phillips was priced as a minus 600 favorite for a reason. And it's not like he got knocked out. It's not like he got, dominated for all 3 rounds. He just kind of got caught by surprise by a new look Rob Font that was training over at TriStar instead of at the New England Cartel. I think Phillips is going to bounce back in a big way here. Going back and watching those Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira performances against Said Nurmagomedov, against Ricky Simon, I don't think I remember him looking better than what I saw the next time out. When I watched it more recently, I was like, okay, good performances, but not great. Like he almost was out of there at the end of the second round against Simon because he got a kick checked. He's been finished in all 3 of his losses. Vinicius has got very bad defense, you guys. He keeps his hands down. He walks forward, and he's extremely hittable. And he's been knocked out in all 3 of his losses. So there is damage compiling here. And Kyler Phillips is the kind of person who's been fighting some really durable guys like Rob Font, like Pedro Munoz, like Hani Barcelos. And just because you're not finishing those guys, it doesn't mean you're not going to be able to finish somebody like Lockdog Oliveira, who keeps his hands down, who's defensively irresponsible, who's willing to give one to take one to give one. And you don't want to do that against Kyler because he's explosive. He's got a wide variety of weapons. And if he lands just right, it's going to be nighty-night. Keep your butthole tight. I think Kyler Phillips is going to bounce back in a big way. I've got a half unit on Kyler Phillips's knockout prop at plus 700. I've got a full unit on Kyler Phillips's finish-only prop, which I think is interesting. Kyler's like a plus 120 underdog. They had his finish-only prop at plus 150 on Bet Online, yet Kyler Phillips has never been finished as a pro, and Vinicius Oliveira has been finished in all 3 of his professional losses, all by KO. And Kyler's got explosive power and precision early in fights, and I think he's the more talented striker. So I'm going with Phillips to bounce back, win this fight, and I think he's going to get it by KO. My model loves the price at plus 700. And stylistically, I agree with my model's underpriced bet in that I think it adds a lot of value because I could see Kyler bouncing back and getting a KO because of the how sneaky durable the guys that he's been fighting have been lately. So that's the pick for that fight. Interesting fight here between Michael Johnson and Daniel Zellhuber. Zellhuber minus 600. Michael Johnson plus 425. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 150. So I'm picking a Zellhuber decision. He's 13 years younger than Michael. He's much taller. He's much longer. And he's a smooth, good-looking technical striker. Straight punches, good combinations, good distance management, good defense. Everything that he does looks great. But I just don't see Zellhuber out there looking to hurt people. He's not showing a lot of power at this level. And he's not showing a lot of output. He's the kind of guy who seems to be very comfortable because he trusts his chin, just kind of trading with you. Just you go, I go, you go, I go. And he never really gets into that flow state and starts putting shit together to where he turns the tide of the fight. And you can tell that he's decisively winning. I'm not seeing that out of him. And frankly, when you look at the recent fights here, let me do this. So for Johnson Zellhuber, I just want to point this out. This is what these are the slideshow presentations that I use when we do balls deep breakdowns. And when you look at the recent fights, like I see Michael Johnson outperforming his money line. He looked much better than minus 240 against Atmanazaitar. He looked much better than minus 150 against Darius Flowers. He was looking minus 300 versus Carlos Diego Ferreira before he got one punch caught by Ferreira, who has a ton of power. He looked way better than plus 280 when he won a unanimous decision against Mark Diakese, who couldn't get his wrestling off against him, and Michael easily outstruck him. And then I thought he won the Malarkey fight, and he lost that one by a very close split decision as a plus 190 underdog. So in his last 5 fights, I see Michael Johnson out there outperforming bookie expectations, while Zellhuber drops the ball as a minus 190 favorite versus Ribovics. He looks minus 300 versus Prado, but I told you guys I think Prado's terrible. He looked minus 277 versus Yagos, but Yagos is terrible. Minus 130 in a win versus Lando Venata, and then once again, he drops the ball as a minus 430 favorite versus Trey Ogden and just kind of gets hypnotized and winds up kind of getting out-volumed and outworked by Trey Ogden. So he's dropped the ball as a minus 190 favorite. He's dropped the ball as a minus 430 favorite. All 5 fights he's been priced as a favorite, so the market is clearly very high on him, but he's not really outperforming those expectations. And now he's fighting Michael Johnson, who's been in there against Khabib. He's been in there against Poirier. The guy's got wins against Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson. After Michael Johnson beat Tony Ferguson, dude went on like a 9-fight win streak. So, like, you got Zellhuber, who's taking a step up in competition. You got Michael Johnson, who's like taking a little step up in competition from the recent shitty guys that he's fought. But Zellhuber's always been a little bit overpriced. Michael Johnson's always been a little bit underpriced, according to how he's actually performing in the cage. And now they're making Zellhuber a bigger favorite over Johnson at minus 600 than he was over Ogden when he pissed that one away, than he was over Prado, than he was over Ribovics. And they're making Michael Johnson a plus 425 underdog when the biggest underdog price we've ever seen him at since the year 2013. And I mean, that spans, it spans 23 fights. It was plus 300 versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's the biggest underdog price we've ever seen Michael Johnson at. Plus 300 versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. And now he's plus 425 versus Daniel Zellhuber, who consistently goes out there and just kind of underperforms. So there, I mean, I can't say this enough. I think Daniel Zellhuber is a horrible bet. I think he's most likely to win this by decision. I don't really see him going out there and finishing Johnson, because if you're not finishing these other guys, you know, how are you going to finish Michael Johnson? So I don't think Zellhuber's, he should be getting better. I keep waiting to see him put on what I would call, you know, like an eye-opening performance, but I'm still waiting for that. So I like the overs here. I like the over 1.5 because I think Michael is going to be very competitive with him. And look, Zellhuber is a favorite. 3-2 with a negative 11% ROI, negative or minus 237 average betting line. Michael Johnson is an underdog. 6-4 with a plus 157 average betting line and a 61% return on investment. So that when I do the Balls Deep Breakdown show, you guys, it's so important to examine those trends properly. But really, at the end of the day, what I am going to go with here is I'm going to go with that youth. I'm going to go with the guy who is 13 years younger, the guy who is 3 inches taller, the guy who has a 4-inch reach advantage, the guy who does look like he's on an upward career trajectory, while Michael Johnson has had some bad losses and he's 39 years old. And even though he's won 3 of his last 4 fights, Atmanazaitar, Darius Flowers, you know, he's taken a step up to Zellhuber here. So I think Zellhuber is going to win a 29-28 here. I think this one's going to go the full 15. I think Zellhuber by decision is how this one plays out, but I think it's dog or pass on the money line. And I think I might even take a small shot, quarter unit shot on Michael Johnson to win by decision, because Zellhuber's got a brick for a head and Michael Johnson couldn't even submit Darius Flowers. So I think virtually all of Johnson's win condition is by decision here. So I'm going to pick, or I'm not going to pick him to win by decision, but I'm going to say that I might play Michael Johnson to win by decision for a quarter unit at plus 800. But the pick is Daniel Zellhuber by decision. Next fight, we got Dan Ige at minus 220 going up against Patricio Freire at plus 185. Fight doesn't go to decision at plus 195 for this fight. I think Ige is going to run through him. Freire's done. He's undersized for the division. He's old. He's shop worn, turbo washed. You know, I mean, like, you can come up with a number of different things to say about the guy who's had a phenomenal career and has really been a very dangerous fighter for a very long time. But those days are behind us. And, you know, now is the wrong time for Patricio Pitbull to be taking steps up in competition. Dan Ige is going to be virtually impossible for anybody to finish. The guy's never been finished as a professional, and he's been fighting killer after killer after killer after killer in the UFC's featherweight division for the last 7 or 8 years. So Pitbull is not going to be finishing him. And you can't win minutes when you can't wrestle offensively and when you don't throw offensive volume. So I kind of feel like Patricio Freire is drawing dead here. I think this is going to be either Ige by decision, and if he wins it by decision, it's probably going to be a little bit close for comfort. It's going to be, you know, you're probably not going to feel like laying minus 220 on Ige was a smart play. But I really do think that somebody that hits as hard as Ige and is as precise at times with his striking is going to find a shot that ends Pitbull's night. This guy got knocked out by Chihiro Suzuki I mean, that guy's a flyweight too. I mean, like, so to get knocked out by that guy and risen, it shows that, you know, you're pretty much done. And he's probably showing up for a check here. And that performance against Yair, I mean, he just looked frozen out there. But, you know, credit to him for not getting knocked out by Yair, because you knew that Pitbull was going to have some grappling success in order to win that fight. But it's clear that he's undersized. This isn't the Bellator featherweight division where everybody is like, would be a bantamweight in the UFC. You know, you're going to be facing some really big physical guys. And in somebody like Ige, that is virtually impossible to win moments against. I think that Dan Ige is going to win this however he wants, but I really do see him getting a finish here. Dan Ige finish only, prop at minus 250 is a good look this week. And I'm picking him to win this one by second round knockout. Next fight, Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland at minus 460. What could go wrong? Daniel Rodriguez at plus 360. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 190 here. So, yeah, I mean, like, if this one were to stay on the feet, you know, maybe Daniel could find some success winning minutes. But Kevin Holland is going to be the better grappler. He's much younger. Kevin Holland at 170 pounds is just a much better version of Kevin Holland. You're going to see a lot of really good performances when you watch Kevin Holland weighed in at 171 or lower the day before. You're going to see the best version of Kevin Holland. He's fighting at his correct weight class against the guy in Rodriguez who's old. He's shop worn. He's got a lot of miles on the engine, and he's been fighting close with guys like Ponzinibbio and Alex Morono, where Kevin's going to be much more dynamic and athletic and fast than those guys right now at their points in their career. So, yeah, I think Holland by KO, Holland by submission. I think it happens in round 1 or 2. But, you know, Kevin Holland will pull some stunts every once in a while. And it's dangerous to lay a bunch of juice on Kevin Holland, even when he's at minus 170, or even when he's at 170 pounds. Because, you know, even against like Wonder Boy, for instance, him just letting up Wonder Boy when he got those takedowns. You know, if you're betting on Kevin Holland, you're screaming at the television screen, and rightfully so. So, yeah, at this price, minus 460, there's really not a whole lot you could do. But, you know, I'd be shocked. I feel like if Kevin Holland blew this one, it either meant like he was badly injured, he threw the fight, or, you know, just like basically bet on Rodriguez. You know, that's how I think that Rodriguez wins this one, because I just think he's at a everything disadvantage. Like, I think at range he's going to be too small for Kevin, too slow for Kevin. In the clinch, Kevin is actually very good in the clinch, and Kevin's submission game is very, very good as well. So yeah, I think it's Holland however he wants it. Submission 2 is what I'm picking. We got Paulo Costa, who looked like he was on blow at the press conference today at plus 189. Roman Kopylov minus 224. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 130. I like that fight doesn't go to decision, you guys. I think it's a really good look for this week, because Costa's got power, Kopilov's got power, and I think that these guys are going to swing, and Kopylov slows down. So if he, hurts Costa but doesn't get him out of there, I could see Costa coming back and landing something big and finishing a tired Roman Kopylov. But these guys are the same age, and this is a big step up in competition for Kopylov. It's a big step down in competition for Paulo Costa. So, but I promised myself, because I think you have to do this in any Paulo Costa fight, you don't make any bets until you see everybody show up on the scales and everything looks like everyone's going to fight. Then you feel like you have the information that you need, and you can maybe make a better decision as to whether you want to be involved or not and on which side. As of right now, I'm picking Kopylov to win by decision. I think he's a little bit better of a striker. I think he's a little faster. I think he's got more weapons. I think he puts together creative combinations. His body work is really phenomenal. Costa a little bit more of a brawler, but he fucking hits hard. And while Costa doesn't show up, like, if there's only like a 33% chance if you book him to fight that he's actually going to show up to fight. But when you close that cage door behind him and he's in that cage, he shows up, man. He's there to fight. And if it's 3 rounds, 5 rounds, Paulo's going to give you everything he has. So I think it's an interesting fight. I think if Paulo shows up, looks good on the scale at plus 189, I don't think that's a bad idea. But Kopylov is the guy that I'm picking to win this fight pre-flop. I want to see both guys on the scale. And I just think that Kopilov's career trajectory, being 4-1 in his last 5 fights compared to 1-4 in Costa's last 5 fights, I think they're going in different directions. And it just seems like Roman's a little bit more serious about MMA right now. But they're the same age. And this is a step up in competition for Kopylov, a step down for Costa. So I think Costa could surprise us here by showing us, hey, look, I've been in there against champions and former champions in my last 6 fights. You're going to give me a guy in Kopylov whose best win is a last-second knockout over Chris Curtis in a fight that was very close. And, yeah, I think Paulo could be live here if he shows up and he looks like, one of the better versions of himself that we've seen lately. Which brings us to the main event of the evening. Max Blessed Holloway going up against Dustin Poirier. Holloway minus 138, Poirier plus 118. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 120 for this fight. Tough fight to pick, you guys. Really tough fight to pick. I kind of feel like Max is fighting better right now. I think he's performing better right now. I think he's finally starting to fill into the 155-pound weight class. When these guys fought, when they rematched in 2019 and Holloway lost a pretty decisive 5-round fight, Holloway did not look as good as he did in the Gaethje fight, when it really looked like his body was much more suited for 155. We've seen Holloway knock out Gaethje and really kind of win that fight decisively, while we saw Dustin Poirier get knocked out by Justin Gaethje in the second round at 155 recently. So common opponent has Holloway with the advantage, but Dustin always has had more power. He is going to be the guy that's landing the more eye-catching shots. He's retiring after this fight, and this fight is taking place in New Orleans, Louisiana. He's from Lafayette, Louisiana, I believe. So with Poirier, I feel like if this one goes the full 25 minutes and he doesn't slow down and he does look like he put in 100% effort, he's already 2-0 in this matchup. Why can't he win in the third time? He's only 3 years older than Max. And at this point, I'm not sure which one of these guys' durability can be counted on more. I know that Max Holloway has always had some of the most dependable durability in the entire UFC, but after coming off of what happened in the last fight with Poirier, you got to worry about a guy that's taken over 2,000 significant strikes at the UFC level. We got to worry a little bit about Max's chin. But, I still think that this fight probably goes to decision. Both of these guys are extremely durable fighters. And I think if it goes to decision in New Orleans, with Poirier having the power advantage, and normally I would say that, like, hey, Max is just going to out-volume him. But that's the thing, you guys. Nobody really has been out-voluming Dustin Poirier. You see that Holloway is attempting 15.9 distance strike attempts per minute at range. But for Poirier, it's 15.5. So I think when you look at the significant strikes, it's deceiving because Holloway's at 15 and Poirier's at 11 attempts per minute. But that's because Holloway's extremely busy in control time positions when he strikes. And as a result of that, it looks like he lands more significant strikes per minute than Poirier does. But Poirier just spends a lot more time in control time positions. But these guys aren't going to grapple. They're going to be at range. And at range, Max Holloway throws as much volume per minute as Dustin Poirier does. But Poirier is just as accurate, if not a little bit more accurate. He's almost as defensively responsible. And we just know that he hits harder. His knockdown percentage is 3 times better than Holloway's. Holloway's is 0.3%. Poirier's is 0.9%. And that's with most of his career taking place at 155 pounds. So I think it's a very difficult fight to cap because I think Holloway is younger and I think he's fighting at a slightly higher level right now. But this is at 155 pounds. Poirier is better suited for that weight class, and he's proven that. And he is the one who has historically always been the one that hits harder. I don't know if Max Holloway at 33 years of age is all of a sudden going to move up a weight class and develop power. So home field advantage, retirement fight, crowd ooh and eyeing every time he lands something. I'm going with Dustin Poirier to win this fight, win it by decision. I have a 1-unit bet on Dustin Poirier to win by decision at plus 350 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So that brings us to the end of the full card breakdown. I'm going to give you guys a dog pick. I'm going to give you guys Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and I'm going to give you guys a Greasy 4-leg parlay and then talk to you guys in the chat. So the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick this week. I'm picking Poirier as an underdog. Kopylov is a favorite. Holland's a favorite. Ige's a favorite. Zellhuber's a favorite. Phillips is an underdog. That's number 2. Allen favorite. Veretennikov is an underdog. That's 3. Valentin is an underdog. That's a big underdog. That's 4. And McVey is 5. So we're picking 5 underdogs. McVey's a big underdog at plus 500. Valentin, a big underdog at about plus 400, plus 450. The more likely underdogs here would be Veretennikov, but I think this is a low-level fight. Phillips, if he can get a bounce-back performance over Vinicius Oliveira. And Dustin the Diamond Poirier by decision. But I'm going with the Kyler Phillips money line at plus 124. I think that there's been overpricing of the Oliveira money line, underpricing of the Phillips money line, and I think that we're getting a big discount on Kyler Phillips this time around. And the last time that Kyler Phillips was priced as an underdog, he was plus 160 versus Song Yadong and came out and won that fight in surprising fashion at the time. And I think he's going to get another win here over Vinicius Oliveira by being the more precise and defensively sound striker. And when he's got that big cage to move around in, I think he's going to be able to deal with that forward pressure. And if Oliveira gets too reckless with the pressure, I think he's going to walk onto something huge. And I think Kyler Phillips is going to finish him. So Kyler Phillips money line at plus 124. Kyler Phillips finish only prop at plus 150. And the Kyler Phillips KO prop at plus 700 all get the Uncle Weezy, bam, stamp of approval this week, which brings us to the last order of business for the full card breakdown. It's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and who's going to win violently? Well, there's a bunch of good opportunities here, but I got Kopylov by decision, so we're passing on that. Poirier by decision, passing on that. Holland's almost minus 600 on the money line, so we're not doing that. I think Ige is a great option for ass shaving of the week this week. Patricio Shih Tzu, looked like ass in his last fight against Yair Rodriguez. And I think Dan Ige is a very difficult opponent as well. Not going to be Zellhuber, not going to be Phillips because he's the dog of the week. I'm picking Allen by decision. Marvin Vettori, notoriously hard to finish. Veretennikov by decision. Valentin could be the ass shaving of the week, but let's face it, he's facing a Taba Gautier, and if I get that one wrong, I'm going to look really bad because, you know, I'm fine losing a unit, but I know what this is going to look like if I lose that unit, and it's going to be bad. He's probably going to have a hole punched through his face if he loses this one. So no. Dulatov submission round 1, but he's like minus 600. So no. Crute's only minus 330, so I think he's a good option. Crute or Ige. Definitely not going with Ryan Spann. We don't trust him at juice. McVey, I'm picking him to shave ass, but he's a huge underdog, so I don't want to give that out, and I'm already betting him. Judice has got a chance to get a KO, so it's between Ige and Crute for me. But I think Crute could knock out Prachnio, and I certainly think he could submit him. So I do think that Jimmy the Brute Crute is going to win and win violently. So your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week for UFC 318 is Jimmy the Brute Crute to shave the Polish ass of Marcin Prachnio. We did it, you guys. We went through all 14 fights. We got picks. We got methods. We got a dog pick. We got the ass shaving of the week. So let's put together a greasy 4-leg parlay with a little bit of meat on the bone here. We're gonna go over to Bet Rivers Sportsbook here, and we're gonna start off with your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and we're gonna pick the ass shaving of the week to shave ass. It's gonna be the Jimmy Crute inside the distance prop at minus 112. Let's see, where do we got it? There it is. So we're gonna go Jimmy Crute method. By finish is minus 112. That's leg number 1. Leg number 2 is going to be your Uncle Weezy's dog pick of the week. It is going to be the Kyler Phillips money line at plus 124. He's plus 130 on Bet Rivers Sportsbook. So that's going to be leg number 2. That brings this 2-leg parlay up to 337. Leg number 3, because I think that Zellhubers are overrated, because I think that Johnson is underrated, and because I know that Zellhuber is extremely durable, I really like an over 1.5 rounds for Johnson versus Zellhuber. And if you look at it on my over-under betting model, which is available on your Uncle Weezy's probability stats and content package, you can see that here at minus 240. 16 of 21 fights for Michael Johnson, 5 of 5 fights for Daniel Zellhuber. Went over that number. It's 81%, and we're only paying around 71% at minus 250. So, yeah, that is going to be leg number 3. We're going with the over 2.5 rounds or over 1.5 rounds for Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. That brings our 3-leg parlay up to plus 512. And then leg number 4, I mean, if you're fighting a Shih Tzu, you got to love Dan Ige to win this fight. He can't be finished. He never has been finished as a professional. He's going to throw more volume. He's going to land the better shots. And Patricio showed that he can't wrestle his way out of a paper bag anymore. And it looks like he's even afraid to shoot takedowns at this point. So I think that this is going to be Dan Ige however he wants it. Minus 230 on the money line. Brings us up to plus 781. I think we moved it just a little bit. On Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Let's cash this thing. What's up with you guys in the chat? Let's see who's in here hanging out with us. I've got 191 messages to get through, and you got 286 live viewers right now between YouTube and Twitter. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with your Uncle Weezy on a Thursday night. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button so we can shoot past 5,000 and be on our way to 10,000. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your greasy 4-leg parlay is. Let me know what you think of the picks. Let me know how many people you're recommending to sign up for the probability stats and content package. The link in the description of the video. Let's see what's going on with everybody here. Let's see here. We got Mr. D in the room saying, let's go, Uncle Weezy. Olajuwon Dream saying, oi. We got Mushroom saying, oi. Excited to catch it live without my boss lurking around. I'm home where I'm the boss, like a man should be. There you go, man. We got John saying, let's go, Uncle Weez. Cashed out big Let's Week. Let's have a repeat. Let's do it. AJ Worst saying, leader of men, appreciate you, man. We got my guy Chris for the love of MMA, one of the first viewers ever of the channel, saying, smash that like for the OG and my guy Unc. Appreciate you, Chris. I hope all is well, brother. We got Dixon in the room saying, Prophet Weeziah, have you ever in your life had to be stretchered out of a place like Alexander Romanov did after that phantom nut shot when he death gassed in round 1 in PFL? They needed a crane. No, I've never been stretchered out of any place before. Very lucky that I've never been seriously injured or even had surgery or broken a bone even. I've been very, very healthy, and I've never like been stretchered out of any place. I've never really even been like carried drunk out of a place. I'm one of those cats that when I realize I've gone too far, I make a smooth exit, do the Irish goodbye, and get back to my room or my house or wherever I was, you know, whether it was in the fraternity house, college, whatever, and wow, just puke and do whatever you got to do in order to get the poison out of your system. Never really been stretchered out of any place. So yeah, poor Romanov, man. We got my guy Brady, aka DFS by the numbers, saying flight booked to Chicago for UFC 319. Can't wait. We're gonna be here, man. Myself, DFS by the numbers, the Stat Diggers crew, our guy Avery Marino. He's going to be there too. We're going to be enjoying ourselves all over Chicago. Go to the fights, hopefully, if we can find reasonable tickets. And yeah, see the community, party our asses off. Looking forward to hanging out with Brady this August for UFC 319. We got Jaquan White in the room saying, oi, with meat on the bone, please. Greasier the better. Well, we got plus 787, so we're doing pretty good, man. Forrest Daniels saying, let me get a drink here. Sometimes there's a man. I won't say a hero, because what's a hero? But sometimes there's a man. I won't say a hero, because what's a hero? But sometimes there's a man. And I'm talking about Uncle Weezy here. Sometimes there's a man. Well, he's the man for his time. My man with the Big Lebowski reference. Uncle Weezy, take us to the promised land of greasy 4-leg parlays hitting us. Let's go. We got Roger Base Afflicted saying Poirier wants Weezy to put the BMF belt on him. Did you guys catch that? I hope he's talking about me, but I think he's talking about our guy, our other Weezy. What's his name? Little Wayne. Forrest Daniels saying Colton G and his goons are waiting in Chicago for Brady and the whole DFS by the numbers crew. Brady is like family, and this aggression will not stand, man. Brandon R saying, oi, 4.99K subscribers. You goons better get it to 5,000 before this stream ends. Rollo is in the room saying, oi. And he's saying, is Uncle Weezy late? I am never late, my man. PGH saying, my goat, you the greatest. Appreciate you, man. We got Forrest saying, congratulations, Uncle Weezy, on 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you, Forrest. I appreciate you, man. We got Gonzalo saying, T.O. Weezy. What's up, Gonzalo? We got AJ Worst liking the intro music here. Pro Schmo Bet saying, Uncle Weezy, the keys to the ladies. Let's get it. We got Exclusive Oro saying, oi, another week of great content. Give your Uncle Weezy money, you freeloaders. Totally appreciate you, Exclusive Oro. We got the bookie man is in the room saying this card has a lot of money in it. Make smart decisions, brother. Good to see you hanging out here, my man. We got Rollo saying, yes, can't wait to hear your take on Zellhuber versus Johnson, because I think the money line on Johnson is very attractive. Well, I think you're going to like what I said then. We got Tiziano in the room saying, ayo, Weezy, my guy, what is up, dude? We got Gonzalo saying my low confidence bet is Prado, Costa, Poirier. We got Wild Berry saying, you ever had a White Russian? Yeah, I've had one before, man. They're not bad, dude. A little bit of Kahlua, a little bit of vodka, and a little bit of cream, little half and half. White Russian. It's refreshing. It's lovely. It's light. You know, not a bad like fall drink. Shady is in the room. What is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Info in the room saying Weezy, baby. We got Forrest saying milk that subscribe button and pipe up that like button, players. We got PGH saying, what's up, my goat? We got Tiziano saying, Gonzalo Jimenez, vos hablas español seguro. Yeah, he probably does speak Spanish. I'm guessing with that name. We got Rouses saying, oi, what's good, Unc? I can't believe they sanctioned Paulo Costa versus Chase Hooper here. He does look like a bulked up Chase Hooper for sure. Mushroom cook your dick be a small meal. You guys are always going back and forth. I love it. We got info saying Weezy F baby, and the F is for fighting fanatic. We got Gonzalo saying, see, bro, yeah, let's go, man. Jacob saying main card sucks for pay-per-view. It's not great, man. We got Rollo Tomasi saying, I've heard that bookies are making about 90% of their revenues from parlays. Do you think it's true? Yeah, I do. I think the parlays are hard to hit, and that's why I don't track a lot of mine, because they're fun things that I throw a little bit of couch cushion money on. But yeah, I think the straight bets, the props are where I make my money the most. The bookie man saying, Weezy seen my slips from last week. Tuco sub, Lewis KO, 6,000. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Yeah, he did show me. And he also told me after I went live for just the tip that I didn't know this, that Tuco Tokos and Brendan Allen are training at VFS, Valley Flow Striking in Chicago. Didn't know that. And everybody that goes there, their grappling game improves. So to see Tuco actually take that next step, because he could not get down, a pure kickboxer with no wrestling experience in his last fight in Sterling. But now he goes out there and he was able to take down Tafa, who had been, coming down a weight class and looking like he might be able to get back up if he was taken down. So Toko's making some improvements even at the age of 35 because he's going to a great camp in VFS. And then Tiziano is saying, País, Argentina, acá. We got my guy D is in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, what's up, man? We got Walter Walker in your faces. Yeah, man, I was on Kennedy there, but at least I only had a 1-unit bet, and it was a 3-leg parlay, and all 3 legs busted. So yeah, Walter got his 3rd straight heel hook. I can't believe it. También de Argentina. So yeah, Gonzalo and Tiziano from Argentina. Grande Viejo. Perdón, pero a Prado no le pongo ni un peso. Yeah, so he's not going to put a peso on Prado, and I agree with him there. We got AJ Worth saying Dan Ige to shave the ass of Patricio Shih Tzu, and I totally agree with that, man. We got El Tio Weezy Sabe. Yes, I know, man. RC Danger in the room saying, catching this for the first time. Let's go. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got B-Neg saying 75% Rolo. There we go. We got Tiziano saying, veremos que opina el tío. Your uncle is in the house, man. We got Gonzalo saying, y está jodida, pero Veretennikov tampoco me parece gran cosa. We got Treat. Let's go. My guy Daz Files in the room. We got Gonzalo saying, si Prado lo mixea la pueda ganar. Ya se veo que Veretennikov una vez que lo derriban no se vuelve a levantar. My Spanish is pretty good, Si Prado lo mixea la he can win. Already saw Veretennikov one time and derriban, so be should no return to get up. Bad get-up game? Bad get-up game is what you're saying for Veretennikov. Yeah. Do you believe that some fights are scripted, like Lewis said in his fight last week? Probably not at this level. I think it might be on some of the lower levels. You might see that a little bit more. Cody Safdie did something a while back, Mixed Martial Madness, where he was talking about what was that dude's name? He's got like a fucking 250 fights. I forgot what his name is. But he did a great thing saying that dude had several fights that were works and he could prove it. And people were talking about it many years. Like Travis Fulton, I think was the guy's name. And so, I mean, I think it's happened before. I think some fights are scripted in ways that the fighters aren't aware of, like the Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon fight. I mean, Jared Gordon won all 3 rounds of that fight, but Paddy Pimblett got the win. When you only have to pay off a couple of judges or a referee, you can script a fight without the fighters knowing. So I think there's definitely some chicanery. I think that the commissions fix tons of fights. I think the judges fix tons of fights. I think the referees get involved sometimes. And that's why you see the same judges, the same referees over and over and over again, because then, the secrets stay within the club, and you don't have to let a lot of people know when there is a work in progress. We got Tiziano saying, I'm not going to try to decipher this again because my Spanish is just not quite good enough. The bookie man saying, I'm responsible for at least a few subscriber Weezy. Don't even know he has UFC fighters following him undercover on YouTube. Facts. I wish I didn't know that, because I don't interact with fighters like on purpose, because I've got to be fair. I don't want to be like rooting for somebody that I like, that I know, because I think it's going to make me not consider all the facts. So I think it's better that I don't know fighters, but it's pretty cool that some do watch, man. Rolo asked me if I'm a millionaire. No, I don't have $1 million to my name, but I am rich in friends and family, and that's what matters, my friend. Zila is in the room saying, "Oi." We got Brandon saying we got multiple hemispheres represented in the chat. Bienvenidos to our brothers in Argentina. What is up, Brandon? We got Tiziano saying, ya vimos la cantidad, le napis que trago Zellhuber porque no le podía cerrar la distancia. He's saying that he can't close the distance, but you're talking about not Zellhuber, probably talking about Johnson can't close the distance against Zellhuber. But yeah, man. We got Olajuwon saying, hit that like button. We got Noah saying 60 watching. We can like this more. Appreciate you, Noah. Thanks for checking in. Gonzalo saying, sí está dando mucha ventaja en peso welter. Thanks, Brandon. You got it. LOL says Olajuwon. Forrest Daniel say, also, what do you rate 318 on a 1 to 10 scale? Also, besides the main event, what is the best fight on the entire card? My favorite fight on the card besides the main event is going to be Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. I think they're two really prospects with a bright future in the UFC. Can't wait to see how that fight plays out because they're both so athletic and explosive, and they're flashy. So I'm really interested to see how that one plays out. America United, says Gonzalo. Tiziano saying something in Spanish. We got Tiziano saying, thanks, Brandon. We got Blom Dog saying, oi. We got Jacob saying, Judice is solid. I agree, man. We got Weezy. What do you think about Gail Benson? She seems like a very kind and sweet woman. Who's Gail Benson? Who the hell is Gail Benson? I've never heard of Gail Benson. I don't know who that is. We got Haymaker saying, is this a pay leg? Always get burned on Fave WMMA. Under 2.5, says Haymaker. Gonzalo saying Veretennikov, that he's bad in the on the floor. And Prado Logro should Matthews Fajate. I don't know, man. Sorry, you meant George Benson. George Benson. I like George Benson. Great guitar player, great singer. Round 1, Bruno says, my guy Haymaker. Haymaker, you and me both, dude. Can't ever win a WMMA favorite. I know, man. Tiziano saying, claro, aquí tenés un buen punto. Esta de McVey me gusta, eh? We got McVey. I like McVey, but Ferreira, it's in another level. He's definitely been fighting a much better level of competition, but McVey is very dangerous. So we're going to see, man. Agree, brother, says Haymaker. Jacob saying McVey is ballsy. I got Bruno round 2. Brandon saying, wish we had seen McVey against a tomato can like Dumas before a dude like Ferreira, and I agree with that. It's hard to know how we'll look if this one gets out of round 1, but I do think he's going to go balls out, and I think he's got pretty good talent, man. But for the price, the opportunity is on the underdog for sure, and that's what I'm going with. Total of 1 unit in bets, half unit on the money line, half unit on the round 1 prop. We'll see how it goes. I got winner McVey versus Ewart and Dumas, but Ferreira level jump too early. Yeah, I agree. It's a big level jump, but remember, Ferreira's never seen the scorecards either. So he's not a minute winner. This guy is a killer be killed fighter, just like McVey is. So I think it's a good first test for McVey because you're going to find nothing but tough fights in the middleweight division. So you might as well just jump into the pool and see where you're at. And remember, people were saying the same shit about Bruno Ferreira when he came up and he fought Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. They're like, this guy's never been out of the first round. All he does is finish fights. Hey, man, guys like that find finishes sometimes. Why not do McVey around 1 or 2 minutes? That's the only win condition. I mean, he's won in the second round as an amateur. He's won a decision as an amateur. He's excellent in the clinch. I think he can win minutes in the clinch against this guy. And if he can dominate minutes in the clinch, he can win minutes in bank rounds there. So I think that there's a little bit more that he can do on this one. McVey versus Ewart, it was free, plus money in McVey, yeah. We got McVey KO plus 1,000. I'm just saying, I'm tempted. My guy Clint's in the room here. I actually like McVey by submission because he's got over 10 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience, and he's got a very opportunistic submission game. But instead of playing that, I just played the first round prop at plus 1,000. Looking to be like, if that's where he's gotten all of his finishes, that's probably his most likely path to victory. Oops, sorry, Unc. We got Jacob Cole, Brzeski decision. Rolo asking, what is my purpose in life? My purpose in life is to not do harm. Not do harm. Good friends, don't fuck people over. Don't do harm. And people, when you do that in life, people gravitate towards you. And you'll wind yourself. You'll find that you're going to be surrounded by good people. So I think that's really important. Don't do harm. That's the purpose in life. Gonzalo Jimenez, Spann KO round 1. Spann's unreliable as fuck, says Jacob. Waldo is a lot better than, yeah. I'm staying away from this one. Yeah, I'm fine staying away from it. Spann, sub good value. I don't know if it's good value, but I think it's probably the most likely path to victory for him. Tiziano saying Gonza se Coscaba a Provincia. We got Silky B is in the room saying Weezy 2028. What's up, dude? We got Olajuwon saying Brzeski decision. I mean, I think it could hit, man. I think it could hit. And Gonzalo is de Provincia. So he's from Provincia, Vos. And then Caba says Tiziano, fui a seminario de Ribovics and United hace 2 meses aprox. Hermoso. Bro, I'm supposed to be sleeping, says KM. Now I gotta go goon to the Weezer. What's up, KM? B-Neg saying if it goes past round 1, Brzeski might be a good live play. I agree with that. Mi sueño es ver a la pelea de McGregor en un bar Irlandas por allí por Caba Yaya. He's saying that his dream is to go to a fight of McGregor in a bar in Ireland. So be at an Irish bar for a McGregor fight. That would be pretty fucking amazing. And then Silky B is from Portland, Oregon, saying that to Gonzalo. We got Jimmy Croutons. We got Late Night Weezy says Chim Check MMA. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got let's see here. Hola, senor, says Olajuwon. We got Jack Tripper in the room saying Uncle Weezy making winning easy. Faux cheesy. What's up, Jack Tripper? We got Gonzalo saying, what's up, Silky? Abrazo Grande. Big hugs. We got Rallo saying, Weezy, do you believe marriage is a scam? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. You're making a contract with the state and they're not giving you anything. So, yes, I absolutely do think it is. Spann TKO for the bookie man. We got Tiziano saying Claro and some other Spanish stuff. We got Muy Crack. Silky's talking Spanish. Muy Spanish. Muy Spanish. Fugitt decision, says Jacob Cole. B-Neg saying Fugitt was with Fight Ready in Arizona. The gym is ice cold right now. Yeah, he's been there for a minute. He has been there for a minute. And yeah, they haven't been getting a lot of wins lately. So we'll see if he can get them back in the winning path there. Silky saying, ¿Qué tal, Hakeem? We got Gonzalo saying, all submission. We got Es Crack El Gringo, Hack Parast Es Top. Esa derrota lo va a hacer evolucionar. Can't wait for Weezy to read the Spanish. Deep in the room saying, oh, yes, send Uncle Weezy money now, you freeloading hoes. I agree 100% with that statement. We got Tiziano. We got Silky saying El Presidente. We got Barry McCockiner in the room saying, thank you, take care. We got, what is your best bet you've ever cashed? My favorite bet that I ever cashed was I had my guy that's won me the most money has been Brady Heastand. I've won a max bet on him against that Mexican dude. What was his name? Fernie Garcia. And then I also had a 1-unit bet on him to win at like plus 170 or 150-ish versus Danab Batgary, and he got that finish in the third round. And then the next fight, I had a 1-unit bet on the money line for Brady Heastand at like plus 160, and I had his third round prop at plus 2,500 versus Garrett Armfield. So I think I won 7.75 units on that, on just that fight. So I think that was the best bet I ever cashed on one fight. But I've hit some big parlays. The Take This Job and Shove It parlay has already hit twice this year. I've hit some other big ones before in years past. I think the biggest one I hit this year was a 59 to 1 for a quarter unit. So that hit for like 15 units. We got Come On Ribbert, says Olajuwon. This fight's going to be lit. We got Steve in the room. He's saying Weezy picking sub every single fight. LOL. Yeah, man. And Gonzalo saying, no, Gautier is savage. He is a savage dude. We'll see if he can keep it up at this level. And Rollo Tomasi went heavy on Poirier in the second McGregor fight. Odds kept getting longer for Poirier, average around plus 280. Nice. Gautier is a savage, but the plus money on the sub for Valentin is interesting. Agreed. Not that bad. Everyone and their mother on round one, I agree, and I'm just not there. I'm just hoping that it goes longer and that Valentin can find some success in the grappling. Major Musasa vibes from Gautier. He gets a quick KO or he loses. We're going to find out. I think the guy is got a lot of upside. Gonzalo saying Valentin don't got level UFC. He might not. You might be right. But then, just think about the names that Gautier has beaten, though. I mean, like, you got to admit that if he beats Robert Valentin, it's miles and miles the best win on his resume. So, I mean, Valentin may not be UFC level, but I'll tell you who isn't UFC level. The Bolivian punching bag, Jose Medina, who was Gautier's last win. Yura Naito, the Japanese punching bag. That was not, and none of those guys before that were UFC level either. Really isn't UFC level? Glenn Williams, the 1-0 fighter who retired after beating Ateba Gautier after Gautier death-gassed after one round and still couldn't beat a death-gassed Williams in rounds 2 and 3. So we will find out if Gautier is UFC level, but Valentin might not be, but Gautier might not be either. He might just be a dude with great strength, but no real mixed martial arts ability. Lost a split to a 37-year-old Welshman. Yes, he did. Gautier KO in under 2.5, says Steve. But obviously the most probable outcome is Ateba KOing Valentin, and I agree with that. Yes. Yes, Tizzy, but that value, okay, that's for sure. Gautier looked insanely fast and accurate against Medina. Yeah, well, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't? AR says Gonzalo, Argentina. I'm surprised everyone is on Prado this week. Yeah, me too. I don't think Prado is very good. B-Neg saying want value, bet Dubois over Usyk. Okay. Jacob Cole, you make me want to pick Robert so bad. Well, I picked him to win. I bet him to win. And I might look like a complete asshole, but that's part of being an MMA capper is you're going to be wrong a lot of the time. 345 of you hanging out live right now. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Tiziano saying as an Argentinian, we have to back him, but Prado and welterweight, it's not a good look, man. He should be a lightweight at the heaviest. Prado recorded isn't good, but he's a fluid fighter. I think he makes easy work here. Yeah, I'm not totally jazzed up by Veretennikov either. So it's plus 2,200 for Dustin, my sub 234, easy $1,000 sprinkle. Let's hope it fucking hits for you, man. Dustin by sub, huh? Interesting. This is a setup fight for Prado. It could be. It could be. I just don't think he's UFC level at all. We'll find out. Prophet, I'm curious how you feel about sweet potatoes. Are you a fan? If yes, what's your favorite way to eat them? In a pie, in syrup, baked, dried, candied, casserole? I'm all right. Yeah, I think sweet potato fries are a joke. I mean, like I like regular fries, not sweet potato fries. Sweet potatoes are all right. I don't hate them. I've had some good casseroles with sweet potatoes in them before. Some decent stuff. Yeah, I don't mind sweet potatoes. I would say a casserole, candied are also very good. And with a little bit of like a whipped sweet potato with a little bit of maple syrup, that can be good too. Where does the meme "Give your Uncle Weezy money now" come from? It comes from something that I wrote in my book and then just held up to the screen. So let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it's got to be in here somewhere. No, maybe here. No, I had a big sign. I was just like holding up and said, "Give your Uncle Weezy money now," and that's just me telling people, stop freeloading, join the odds shopper, give your Uncle Weezy money now. But that's where it came from. Vettori couldn't finish a sandwich. I mean, he hasn't really at this level. Gonzalo Vettori versus Allen 2. We got this one is in the octagon. Yes, it is. Gentlemen, always a pleasure to be amongst the world's brightest. We got Dr. Peener in the room, the ICU penis surgeon. Good to see Dr. Peener hanging out in here. I hope all is well, and I hope the penises that you've been operating on are in full working order. We got Vettori decision, says Jacob Cole. We got Gonzalo in the room laughing. Gonzalo, Joe saying -120 plus 3.5. Allen has 2 rounds cardio max. Okay. Which of these is a guaranteed money printer? Says Electric Doll. Holloway knockout, Kopylov KO, or Crute sub. My favorite of those would be Crute sub. The next one would probably be Holloway KO and then Kopylov KO. But Crute sub would be my favorite of those 3. B-Neg saying the loss by Vettori to Cannonier was soul crushing. Yeah, because he was it Vettori who was hurt badly there? I think it was Vettori who was hurt badly early in that fight, but I that was a wild one. Can't fix stupid. Allen's upside is limited. Yeah, man. I mean, Allen is still very young, and he's got a 12-4 record in the UFC. So the guy just keeps fucking winning fights. He's very good, and his losses are to some of the best fighters. Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis, Fluffy Hernandez. That's a fucking tough opponent. So yeah, man. We'll see what his upside looks like here. But Marvin did not look good in his last fight. Oliveira's strongest tool is his pressure. He does pressure a lot, but it's with the hands down, and he's extremely hittable. I worry about that for him. Vinicius by decision. Phillips gas out first round, says Gonzalo. Joseph saying Oliveira is a dog, makes it dirty and puts it on him late. Weezy decided to be pretty controversial with the picks today. I got some underdogs. I went with 5 underdogs. When I see it in the trends, when I see the pricing off, I'm willing to pull the trigger on underdogs, and I'm seeing a lot of it. When I pick underdogs, there's alarm bells going on in my mind about where the fight is priced. That's all that means. I can't fade Oliveira again. I'll pass or favorite. Yeah, if I was willing to fade him against these guys at plus 200, I'm willing to fade him at -150 against a more explosive fighter in Kyler Phillips. Marcel is in the room saying finish only is good. I like it for that Oliveira fight. I like the Phillips finish only. Vinicius Oliveira finishes Kyler Estrogen Phillips. We got Electric saying definitely going to have to live bet Oliveira after round 1. Don't tell me you're picking Johnson now, Uncle. I mean, I'm picking Zellhuber, but I think it's going to be close. I bet Vinicius the past 2 fights as a dog, and I was very confident in him for those fights, but I think this is going to be very close. But I'm leaning Vinny. I think the pressure is going to break Kyler. Well, he's going to have to pressure, but the big cage is where Kyler does his best work because he's got phenomenal lateral movement. And if you don't cut off the cage and you follow him, he's going to make you walk onto big shit. What were you doing before you started on the UFC? Do you still have a day job? No, this is my day job. And before I was with the UFC, I worked on the floor of the Chicago Stock Exchange. I was head trader for a couple of small investment banking firms. I worked in finance. But in 2008, when Lehman Brothers failed, a lot of us kind of like got washed out of the business. And I went back to school and studied statistics. And after I was done doing that, I went and looked for work. I was already in my 40s at that point, and I was not getting interviews. I wasn't getting opportunities. And I had some people tell me that I wasn't going to be able to find work because of how old I was. Started building spreadsheets, started putting together statistics, started doing some content just as a hobby, and it caught on. And I saw a need for this kind of analysis. I saw a need for this kind of stats package for the UFC gambler. And this is how I make my living now. I'm not a rich man by any stretch of the imagination, but this pays the bills. And I'm very proud of that because I've built it with my own two hands and just with my own hard work. And all my hard work is just out there for people to see. You can go through my channel and see the hundreds of shows that I've done, the thousands of hours of content that I've put out in this space, all for free. And you could see the amount of work that I put into my probability stats and content package. So this is my day job and this is my night job. And I think about this when I'm sleeping. This is everything that I do to make my living. We got Ganu saying, taking a shot at Kyler KO. I'm right there with you. Patrick saying, deserve more than 5,000 subs. That's for sure. Appreciate you, Patrick. I hope you're subbed to the channel, and we're just moving onward and upward from here, man. Joseph saying, I don't see it. Kyler's a pothead. He's the more talented and skilled fighter, but they're polar opposites when it gets dirty. Oliveira gets better, and Phillips sort of wants out. Yeah, Phillips has slowed down late in fights, but like I say, I just think that the skill level of these two fighters is really in favor of Kyler Phillips. And I don't think the style and the defensive irresponsibility of Oliveira is going to serve him well in this fight. Oliveira is a master of making it dirty. Yes, he is. Round one, I would say, is 70-30 Phillips. Prado isn't terrible. He's 23. He could get better, but I think right now, in terms of UFC level, I think he's terrible. What you got against potheads, Joey? Nothing, but when you gas out late every fight, it's not a good look. We got Nate saying, or the Fightful saying, Nate Bros, the biggest potheads and have the best cardio. Diaz brothers, yeah. Diaz brothers are freaks of nature. They also do insane triathlons. He just has bad cardio, I think. It could be genetics or could be work ethic. Could be the work ethic. But he's like the only guy at that gym that gasses out. Marabin Fluffy, best cardios, yes. I would pick Prado over Michael Johnson. Yeah, I would take the other side of that bet. I wouldn't. I would probably take Johnson. I agree on your take on Zellhuber versus Johnson. I pulled the trigger on him. There you go. I would pick Prado over Johnson. Josiani Nunez, I would too. We got bad cardio is because he doesn't pace himself and puts everything out, flashy and early and probably everything else. Yeah. Leon Shabazian just got a first-round submission at Tough Enough. Oh, okay. Is Tough Enough on right now? I'll pop that on after I'm done here. Energy management is critical. Notice how the Diaz brothers are on cruise control. Don't even throw anything into their strikes. Yeah, touch. And they're very calm in there. They're very at home in the cage. So they don't have that adrenaline coursing through their systems, and they can kind of just go about their business. And when you're comfortable, you're going to be able to pace yourself a lot better. Damn, Big Homie says 29-28. We're on total opposite ends here. One of us is screwed, LOL. We'll find out who, Joe, man. It's always going to be somebody, right? Diaz brothers are the most overrated fighters in history. How long you been watching MMA? I was, my friends and I bought the pay-per-view for UFC 5. The fight that I remember from UFC 5 was Dan Severn versus Oleg Taktarov. Severn took down Taktarov, had his head up against the cage, and busted him wide open with elbows. It was a bloodbath. And I remember watching that next door to the Sigma Chi fraternity house in Northern Illinois back in 1995 or 1996, I want to say. Dude, that's I remember I was fucking hooked ever since I saw that, man. So I saw UFC 5. That was what I remember first watching the UFC. We got a floppy wiener, says my guy, Dr. Peener. Good to see Dr. Peener in here. 27 years, says the Internet Wizards Society. Yeah, and I guess for me, it's even been a little bit longer than that. Faifu says BS. Only someone not old enough to drink would make that comment. I'm in the over 2.5 year total opposites. When was the last time Ige knocked anyone out? Woodson's stoppage was horrible. When was the last time Dan Ige knocked anyone out? Okay, so knocked out Sean Woodson in his last fight. Knocked out Andre Fili violently in the first round. Knocked out Damon Jackson violently in the second round. Knocked out Gavin Tucker violently in the first round. Finished Danny Hendry with a first round rear naked choke. Knocked out Mike Santiago violently in the first round. So when was the last time? He's done it once, twice, 3, 4, 5 different times at the UFC level in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins. And by the way, the Korean Zombie, after he fought Dan Ige, said that he had never been hit that hard. Dan Ige has got ridiculous power in his hands, and Patricio Pitbull should be known as Patricio Shih Tzu because he is harmless, he is done, and he is fucking washed. Who are my favorite 3 fighters to bet on currently? Number 1, my guy Brady Heastand just keeps cashing tickets for me. So it's Brady Heastand, number 1. Number 2 would be Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Absolutely love cashing bets on that dude. I love his style. Fuck. You know who really like up until the last fight when Radke got served by Mallet, and then he had another fight against Protes. I bet on him against Blood Diamond. I bet on him against Semmelsberger. I bet on him against the other guy that he beat. But I remember, Urbina. So yeah, I cashed all kinds of bets on Chuck Radke too. He's a local Chicago guy, so he's one of my favorite guys to bet on. But it's about the guys that make you money, you know. So, and those are the guys that are making me money. Philly, I guess, clean KO, yes. Listen, Strikeforce was fun, but geez, they weren't really that great, and the UFC proved that. Remember their reigns as champions? Yeah, me neither. Yep. Can't disagree, Weezy, but holy shit, dude, I hate laying chalk with Holland. Yeah, I know, man. I do too. I'm not going to be laying chalk with them. Chelsea Chandler, Lucas Brzeski, and Ryan Spann, says the Fightful. So you know Gabriel Killian is about to go put a fucking noose around his neck or put his head in the oven if those are his 3 favorite fighters to bet on. Shout out the Fightful. I don't see Holland losing here. D-Rod is slow and washed. Holland is better everywhere. Agree. Holland by decision, says Gonzalo. What does Strikeforce have to do with the Diaz brothers? Nate never fought there. Nick only had a few fights there. J-Mo saying, Unks, I got to nail down this new schedule. I can't be late every fucking stream. Either way, I'll watch it back. Appreciate you, J-Mo. And what the fuck do you mean UFC proves Strikeforce wasn't great? Cormier came from Strikeforce. Yeah, there were some good fighters that came from Strikeforce. That's Nick's hype genesis, and then it deflated in the UFC. They never got to the top because they weren't that good. But casuals love them because they smoke pot, bro. Nick was popular before he ever fought in Strikeforce. Clearly, you were the casual. Costa showed up to fight versus Strickland. Yeah, he did. He showed up to fight. 5 rounds that fight went, and he had one of a couple of the rounds, in my opinion. It was the leg kicks that Strickland really hurt him with, or I think it might have even been a leg check, and that's when kind of Costa started to slow down. But I thought Costa had some decent moments in that fight, but I thought Strickland at least won 3 rounds and probably 4, but it wasn't a complete runaway. Strikeforce, when it peaked, there was the Diaz brothers cardio and Nick's last fight against Lawler when he quit. Gonzalo's got the diamond here. Costa's powder was laced with too much meth in this batch. He didn't look good at the press conference, man. This one is so difficult. Nick hadn't trained in years when he took that fight. Nick picked up a check. Yeah, he did. You're surprised he didn't keep the cardio after retiring and clubbing every night for years. Matt likes Max here. No fighters ever lost the first 2 legs of a trilogy and won the third. Is that a fact? You know, because I feel like, yeah, if somebody's won the first 2, that they usually win the third too. Weezy, do you read books? If so, which ones? It's been a while since I've read books, man. I read voraciously when I was young. Read all, like, basically everything by Stephen King and Dean Koontz and like Peter Straub. And then, I read a lot of nonfiction after college, Creature from Jekyll Island, some other stuff, economic stuff, stock trading stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've used to, but like now I read my own fight write-ups. It's pretty sad. Everything that I read is MMA related because it's my job. B-Negs is saying that Dustin is going to jump Gilly and get it. We got Poirier never loses 2 in a row. All right, so let's see here. Uncle Weezy going with the underdogs this week, says Brennan, for sure. I feel you got the main event wrong. Max has evolved 1,000 times since their second fight. I agree. Max should outvolume a past his prime Dustin a lot like Max did versus Gaethje. The best is blessed. I mean, I've got a 1-unit bet on Poirier to win by decision at plus 350, but I think it's going to be a great fight, and I would not be surprised at all if Max got his hand raised. Agreed. Forrest says, call me Husker. He's picking Val. Yes, I am. I just stopped in to say, he says, my guy, the Golden Octagon, and dropping a thumbs up. I've got to rewind. Good luck to Weezy and everyone in the chat. Appreciate you, my man. Wizards, you're a lunatic if you're taking Nick's fight against Lawler into account. Good luck to you, Golden Octagon. I told you Landwehr is a punching bag. Yeah, but it was close there. I mean, he lost the first. I thought he won the second. And then the third was close, and then he got bonked. Great fight by Nate. He put on a good show for the crowd. Gautier to shave ass, says AJ Worse. He is. We used him at my gym when one of ours ripped. He's a happy pad. Who are the cappers you respect in the game? I'm not going to answer that question, Rollo, because what happens when I do that is I'll mention like 6 names, and then it's the people that I don't mention that get pissed off at me. But there's so many good ones. And there's so many good ones that I learned from and that made me better when I was learning how to do this. So there's a ton of great cappers on YouTube. Our community is full of really good guys, and I don't have bad things to say about anybody in this space. So I would say I respect all of them. Chris is saying Patricio Shih Tzu. I love you, Unc. Much respect. It's good to see you hanging out in here, Chris. It's been a minute, my man. Crute to shave ass, says AJ Worse. Landwehr, es un idiota. We got Shady with the razor there. We got the Fightful. Zellhuber is not overrated. Everybody at Extreme Couture and the UFC PI speak highly of him. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If he's good in the gym, that's fine, but like I only see him in the cage, and he fucking constantly underperforms what I think he should do considering all the hype that's on him. I think he needs to let his hands go more. I think he needs to trust his chin more. He doesn't force fights. Against Ribovics, he probably should have pulled back a little bit more and tried to be more technical. But against like guys like Ogden, what the fuck was he waiting for against Ogden? That was a horrible performance. Ogden has no power. He's never won a fight by knockout. And fucking Zellhuber was out there at range like he was afraid of him. So I hear great stories about certain fighters in the gym. It means nothing to me because I can't confirm it. I'm not there. I don't see it. And even if somebody looks good in the gym, I'm guessing that his opponent, who is a UFC, level fighter, is also looking good in the gym. So I don't care about gym stories. What I see is in the cage. And in the cage, Zellhuber is like 29-28 fighters he's way better than. So I mean, there's no fucking way I'm laying minus 650 on this guy. Pipe that like button on site, says Marcel. Can't back Kyler Phillips, says Soy Sauce Milk Shack. Curtis hurt Kopylov. Imagine Paulo. Yeah. Could Max's fight style and output change after taking a KO loss? Potentially. MB saying Crute Holland by sub looks good. I'm picking both of those to win by sub. Yup. We got Matt saying, Weezy, do you have any bets on PFL or boxing? The answer is no. Aussie Battler saying, Weezy. Oi, oi, oi. What is up, Aussie? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Magin in the MMA and saying, sup, boys, did the parlay drop yet? Yes, it did. The parlay is the Jimmy Crute inside the distance, the Kyler Phillips money line, the over 1.5 rounds for Johnson, Zellhuber, and the Dan Ige money line at minus 218 that comes out to plus 787 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's see here. Funny story, says Chris. My elementary school teacher came to me one day and says you got an automatic A on your homework because out of the stack of papers, my Shih Tzus ate your homework. It's funny. I usually do. I try to read all the messages on the chat, Rollo. Not only did I dog eat my homework for real, but it was my teacher's dogs. That's great, dude. Boris K, BJJ in the room saying he just subbed for the 5,000. Appreciate you, my man. Welcome to the club. We got Ja, good Spanish. Is Kyler washed? Yes or no? Dude, he's not even 30 yet. Or I think he just turned 30, so I don't think he's washed. Tuco Tokos really surprised me last week, says Zach Pauga. Yeah, man. Well, he stepped way up, dude. He looked a lot better than he did against Navajo Sterling. And, you know, is a similar type of opponent, but the wrestling looked a lot better. We got Gonzalo's laughing at my Spanish, probably. Eric Camacho saying, bro, your Spanish is good. It's just okay. Like, I'm a total gringo. So when I can put together even a sentence or two or understand just a little bit, people are like, whoa, your Spanish is good. It's just okay. Very good Spanish, says Gonzalo. Appreciate you, man. Also, I forgot to say, give this man some goddamn money, says JMO. We got Rotten Randy in the room saying, what's going on, brother? Finally caught a live one. Much love to you, Randy. Truly appreciate you, brother. I hope all is well for you, my man. Let me know if you need anything. Fight Fool saying, I can't believe some people are so out of it that they can't tell Lewis is joking. I know. Gonzalo waving, clapping. No habla español, Unc. Well done. Always wish I learned Spanish. Mamacita. He knows that one. I think McVey Bruno over is possible. Bruno has to win by decision once in his life. It might happen at some point. Maybe it'll never happen, though. We got Arya saying, Uncle Weezy, I love watching videos every week. Love from Iran. Appreciate you, Arya. And he's saying, yeah, love from Iran. Much love to you, brother. I hope all is well there, dude. Chris saying, smash that like before you leave for the realist to do it. Thank you, man. The Fightful saying, Japanese punching bag would beat Valentin. Yikes. You're a Naito? You're talking about you're a Naito. Whew. No, he wouldn't, bro. No, he wouldn't. No way. That's cool. You actually did trading. Yes, that's what I did right out of college. I was a trader on the floor of the Chicago Stock Exchange. And it was wild, man, because I got down there in 1998 and I lost my job in 2002. So those 5 years were some fucking crazy trading years, man. KY saying, respect, bro. Bro, you should do DoorDash on the side or pick up day trading again. This is my day trading, but and I've done DoorDash when I was going to school just to have a little bit of extra money coming in. I was delivering pizzas for Lou Malnati's for a while, just to have, you know, to keep my head above water while I was going to school. So I've done all that stuff. I've done all the hustling. Thank you for all. It says Gonzalo, appreciate you, man. We got so Unc. If someday I'm going to take you up on going out, if I come to Chi-Town, we'll do a live stream for fun, too. You know where to find me, brother. And we got Brady and Avery coming out here for UFC 319 in August. So it's all love, man. Let's see if we can make it happen. Shout out to Unc, says my guy Eric Camacho. Being a pothead didn't mean too much. Easy enough to take tinctures and eat edibles. That doesn't affect cardio. That is true. Anytime I had a sanctioned fight, I walked in high. Yeah, I'll bet a lot of fighters do fight high because I know a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, they get blazed before they go practice. So some people just feel a little bit more comfortable when they're high, fighting or grappling. So it could be, man. Just subbed today, my friend, says, MB, appreciate you. Thanks for being part of the team. They stopped the fight due to blood. LOL. I'm old too. There we go. We got Patricio Shih Tzu. That should be viral. I don't know if it's going to go viral. I highly doubt anything I do is ever going to go viral, but that's my name for him, man. I even put it on my stat sheet. Let me see here. You know, you can see right there, Patricio Shih Tzu over to the right. It was just after that last performance against Yair. I knew the guy was done. And Yair's a really tough opponent, but he didn't let his hands go at all. He was terrified in there. So I think so, man. We got Goat Unk, says Chris. We got Zellhuber win KO in round 1 or 2. I don't like that, man. I think it's going to be a Zellhuber decision. people that think Nick Diaz wasn't good and then calls other people casuals. Forrest saying that his mom lived by Wrigley Field and she lived at Lake Point Towers in Chi-Town. I've been there many, many times. I had a friend that lived there at Lake Point Towers. And when I was delivering for Lou Malnati's, that Lake Point Towers location there at Waveland and Marine Drive, or at Waveland and Lakeshore, was one of the places that we would deliver to. So I've been in and out of that place so many times. Oh, wait, no, Lake Point Towers is actually that's where Oprah lives and Sammy Sosa lives. That's over on Lakeshore Drive down by the S curve. Still beautiful. That's where my friend Alvin used to live, over in Lake Point Towers. So yeah, man. Oh, but yeah, so Lake Point Towers, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the other place. Lake Point Towers is the one on Waveland and Marine there. Wait, Parlay King is one capper we can all hate on. Remember that? Dude, I remember that guy from way back in the day. He hasn't done content in years, charging $100 plus a month for Patreon just to put out BS videos about parlays. I trolled that bitch hard. Everybody trolled that guy, man. And ring a ding ding, you guys. We got the Aussie Battler with the $8 donation saying it's not about what you attain on in the journey. It's about who you become. Dustin the Diamond. Big love, Unc. Much right back at you, my man. Truly appreciate the donation. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We got my guy Muhammad is in the room. What is up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. Rollo saying I had a great time being live at 6 a.m. in France, but I was lucky to be up. Thank you again, Weezy. God bless. Right back at you, Rollo. Tiziano saying next time we'll talk in English for you, Unc. So much love from Argentina. Ribovics and Vallejos, the future of the sport. And actually, Esteban Ribovics, somebody I've been gambling on a lot too. Made money on him against Zellhuber. Lost money on him against Hackprass, but that was a great fight. I'm a big fan of Esteban Ribovics, and I also believe that Vallejos is something really special, man. We got Gonzalo saying, hey, Tiziano, te veo la semana que viene aquí. One of these weeks you will come there, and hopefully you'll get together. Colby saying, what's up, Weezy? You think there'll be a meetup at a bar or something for the Chicago card? There probably will be. And I know Brady's coming in on Friday. Avery's coming in on Friday. And we're going to hang out Friday and Saturday night. And I know Brady's going to fly back out on Sunday. So we're going to try to do something Friday and Saturday night, depending on whether or not we get tickets. We're going to figure something out, and we'll talk about it that week on the live streams. We got Kalong in the room saying, yo, Uncle, I'm going to open a chicken farm, need some money, so please give me a 2+ odds that will, so like a 2-to-1, and we're looking at favorite 2-to-1. What can we 2-to-1 here? What can we 2-to-1 here? Zellhuber by decision plus 185 could be a good one. Ige by KO at plus 340, that could be a good one. Poirier by decision at plus 350. I like all three of those, man. And Tiziano saying Dale Rey. King, I don't know what Dale means. Give something? Give it to me, King? Something like that? Appreciate you, dude. Randy Couture was the third fight of the trilogy after dropping the first two to Chuck Liddell. So Underground Capper pulling out the guy that gets the win in the third round after losing the first two. I went to a Ribovic seminary. The guy, you mean a seminar. You went to a Ribovic seminar. The guy is next level for sure. He's probably teaching the Kimura. If you were to assume who the bookie are looking at to bust the parlays with, I'm thinking Kopylov or Allen. Man, I mean, I think Gautier can bust parlays. I think Zellhuber can bust parlays. I think Bruno Ferreira can bust parlays this week. Dulatov might be first round or bust, so he could potentially bust parlays. There's a lot of really sketchy favorites on this card, so I think it could be just about everyone. Boa noche, fight fam, says my guy Chris. There's a little bit of Portuguese there. Appreciate you, my man. We did it, you guys. 378 of you hanging out live. I'm going, my voice is done. I've been on camera like 4.5 hours today. I've been busting my ass since the crack of dawn this morning, finishing up my fight write-ups. So if you want to support the work, check out the link in the description of the video. $25 a month Odds Shopper stats and probability package. You get the matchup stats. You get the individual fighter stats. You get the over-under betting model. You get the prop betting model. You get access to my in-depth fight write-ups every week that talk about the trends of both fighters, the strength of schedule analysis, the distance striking analysis, the control time striking analysis, grappling analysis, strengths and weaknesses of both fighters, a summary of the fight, a pick, and the best bets. For over 4 hours of subscriber-only content with balls-deep breakdowns every week, probability every week, and you get to support me, everybody's favorite capper, Uncle Weezy. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. And if you hit the thumbs up, if you leave me a comment, if you hit that subscribe button, I appreciate you. And for the people who want to go a little bit extra and be a little bit better at MMA gambling, sign up for that $25 a month probability stats and content package. And it's going to give you access to as much information as you could possibly imagine that are going to help you make better, more informed decisions on your UFC bets. So let's stack cashed tickets like flapjacks for UFC 318. And we will talk to you guys next week for the next card. Have a great rest of your night, everybody, and good luck on all your bets.